Welcome to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast, episode 32.
Everyone wants happiness and success, and we know how to get you there. Come listen to the Leadership Society of Arizona as we teach a proven logic to help you simplify life, overcome challenges, and predict the future. You're listening to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. Welcome to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. My name is Chuck Solanas, and I'm joined by the one, the only, the Dr. Jacob Kashiwagi.
Hi, Chuck.
Hello. Welcome. We are very excited to have you on. This is a thrill, a joy, a true pleasure. Okay, so are you ready for the question for the week?
I am ready. Let's do it.
I have had this question because when I was younger, I used to be kind of the subject of ridicule. I would have a lot of people kind of pick on me or tell me that like I didn't look good, or I just got made fun of. So I wanted to ask the question, if your goal is to be more loving and accepting of people, how does that work with holding people accountable, being assertive, and making sure that you aren't being taken advantage of, if that's even possible?
Got it. Okay. Well, first, I'm sorry people ridiculed you or made fun of you for things. Taylor Swift actually made a song about this. I forgot the name of it. Do you know the name of this song, Chuck? It has this line called like "Haters are gonna hate."
Oh,
Shake It Off. What song is this?
It's called "Shake It Off."
Oh yeah, "Shake It Off." Okay, go listen to that song, Chuck. Okay, so there's like two parts of your question, right?
Correct.
So if you're going to be more loving and accepting, how does that deal with being assertive and holding people accountable?
Right.
Okay. So first off, we need to understand, well, what does it mean to love or accept someone?
Means recognizing who they are.
Okay. It means understanding who they are, accepting them for that, right?
Okay, we've reiterated recognize and accept, but like, is there another way that you can describe it?
Nope. Understanding who they are accurately and accepting them for that, allowing them to be who they are, not getting upset at their actions.
All right.
But my next question to you then is, if that is anywhere in the vicinity of the definition of what you consider loving and accepting someone, how is that opposite or contrary to being assertive and accountable, or holding people accountable and being assertive to them?
Well, a lot of times, I guess this definition is confused, or maybe it's confused in my mind. And I think, well, loving someone is just always being nice to them. It's like, even if they screw up, you just say, oh, that's okay. You don't have to worry about that. Oh, you mean to me that, don't worry about that. That's fine. Like, it's kind of like releasing their accountability.
Oh, got it. So your definition of love is just always being nice to them.
I would think. I mean, I guess that's confused.
Let me ask you a question then. If you're walking one way, okay, around a corner, you walk around the corner and you see someone that you love. Could be a family member, could be, maybe one of your children or something.
Mm-hmm.
And while you were turning the corner, around the corner, you saw that behind you was coming a bunch of cars that if anybody else walked around the corner, they'd get run over.
Okay.
If you're walking towards this person and they're about to turn the corner, if you love them, are you going to let them know, hey, if you turn that corner, you're going to get hit by a car? Or would you just let them go? What would be considered loving them? Warning them that a car is going to hit them if they turn the corner, or just saying hi and letting them turn the corner and not giving them a warning?
Yeah, you'd give them a warning.
So even in your definition of love, being nice to someone is warning them. It is when you see something to let them know, hey, this is what's going to happen.
Hmm.
So a lot of times people might think being nice to someone is just letting them do what they're doing, just not telling them anything. But that might not necessarily be the nice thing always, to not let someone know what's coming up. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes. That makes
But
sense.
this will get confusing because let me give you another example. So say you're a parent and you see what your child is doing. And what your child is doing might not be the most beneficial thing for them 20 years down the road. And you go and you warn them and you explain to them, if you keep behaving like this and you don't shape up, this is of course like what you're like, 2 or 3-year-old daughter. And you're explaining to her all this stuff and she can't understand you. And you're trying to warn her, but she doesn't want to listen to you. Is it the nicest thing for you to keep harping on her, keep yelling at her, trying to warn her, even though she can't understand you?
If she can't understand, then it's useless.
Yes. So although the nice thing to do is warn people, the nice thing to do is only warn people when they're capable of understanding.
Hmm.
In other words, it's to tell them the things that they're capable of doing and letting them do the things that they're not capable of doing. Shaping your actions around who they are and what they're capable of doing, understanding their capability and accepting that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of it in terms of our topic of conversation. So say you are getting ridiculed or whatever, you just say that, hey, in the future, if you keep doing that, there's gonna be consequences.
No, but it's like understanding where they're coming from and relaying things in a way that they can understand and that they can take and that will be good for them.
Okay.
Um, I'm trying to think of a good example with my family. Um, it could be something like I don't know. Say my oh, I got a good one. It's like with Zuzu, my 1-year-old son. So oftentimes he is going to he likes to like crawl down from things, but he can't tell the difference between when there's something that will catch him, because he crawls down backwards, right? So he turns around, crawls down the stairs backwards,
Hmm.
and sometimes he can't tell the difference between crawling down something when there's something to catch him and when there's nothing to catch him. So we're at the playground. And so we taught him to crawl down our stairs. And he's capable of doing that. So he crawls down the stairs backwards. He can do it by himself. It's great. And we taught him that. And we went through the pain to correct him and to show him how to do it. It took a little while, but he did it. So we go to the park, and there's the big jungle gym, right? And there's a ledge, but there's nothing below. So if you try to crawl off that ledge, you're going to fall straight to the ground.
Wow.
So I'm there with him, and I see him getting ready to crawl down. It doesn't occur to his mind that there's no ledge there. So I tried to show him by letting him crawl down and then kind of like letting him drop a little bit, but catching him. So he realizes he can't do that. But he can't understand that. So every time he goes there, he always is trying to crawl off this ledge. And so I told my wife, he's not understanding this, so you just got to be there to catch him. It does us no good to try to scold him, to yell at him, and to try to do anything to help him understand, because he's not capable of doing that yet. And this is much like people. There's things that they're able to do that you can, in understanding them and accepting them and loving them, you can teach them, you can correct them, and they're willing to listen and they're willing to learn and they're capable of doing it. But there's some things that they just can't learn at that time. And so to try to be assertive, to try to force them to do that at that time is not the best. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So being nice is knowing when to tell them, when not to tell them, when to accept, and when you know that they will accept what you're saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Now, in terms of holding people accountable, if you love someone, do you hold them accountable?
Well, in the definition of being kind, where like someone, you know that person doesn't understand, then you just take the accountability. Like, all right, you didn't understand. I'm just not going to trust you with that anymore, or I'm not going to give that responsibility to you anymore because I know that you're not capable.
Now here's the thing. Is the thing on accountability is you need to know nobody can hold someone else accountable. The only thing that holds people accountable in life is life. Life holds people accountable. Because what someone does is always subject to the natural laws. Meaning, if someone is mean to people, even if you don't punish them, even if you don't do things to try to make them accountable, eventually, as they're mean to everybody, life is going to make it such that they will get the punishment for that naturally. When you're mean to people, nobody wants to be your friend. When you're mean to people, no one will help you in life. And that is an accountability that life holds on everybody. Nobody can escape natural laws of life, right? So we need to know when we love someone, it's not our job to hold them accountable. But what we can do is we can help them to do what we can do. As a parent, I can help my child because they don't understand if they crawl off this ledge, they're going to fall and hurt themselves. I can help them and catch him and try to move him away from the ledge, do whatever I can. But eventually he is going to be accountable for his own life, for doing what he does, right? And eventually if he doesn't learn, then he's going to get hurt. There's nothing I can do about it except when he's around me, when I'm helping him. And I can only teach him what he's willing to allow me to teach him. Did that make sense?
Yes. Okay.
So, if you really are learning to love somebody, actually, you're not trying to hold them accountable for anything.
And is this different in the business world?
Not different at all. In fact, usually when you're trying to hold people accountable, it usually works against you.
Well, because it's a form of trying to tell them what to do, and when you try and tell someone what to do, then Usually it takes a lot more effort, a lot more management.
Yes. Well, what it does is when you're trying to hold somebody accountable, what it usually means is you're trying to force them to do something or punish them um, because of what you think they did. And whenever you're in that situation, it means you didn't quite understand who the other person is. And in business, the best thing you can do is to understand exactly who people are and to let them do what they're capable of doing. Does that make sense?
Okay. So if uh, if I'm working on a project, for example, and I'm finding that there's uh, someone that's just not performing on the project, and everyone knows that this person is not performing on the project, but I'm also on the project. So do I still hold the blame on this project, but everyone knows it's that other person, but the project still does terrible. And then I'm like, well, I wasn't accountable for that. So what happens there?
Look, everything that happens to you, you're accountable for.
Okay.
For example, if you are a very high performer and you do things really well, what's the chances that you're put with someone who's not a very high performing person?
On school projects all the time.
Okay, let me ask you, if you're an intelligent person, are more intelligent people going to be around you or less intelligent people going to be around you usually?
More intelligent.
And the best way to look at this is someone who is getting very highly educated, usually you find them in places where there's other people who are also getting very highly educated, right?
Right.
And people who are less educated, usually you find them in places that have less education. So if you're a person who's always doing really well in classes, chances are you're sitting next to and the people in your classes are probably other people who are very, very intelligent and do very well on their projects as well. Which means the chances are you probably will have more highly educated people and higher performing people on your project than most other people will.
Right.
But there's always that chance that someone who like isn't very high performing gets on your team. But if you are a person who works very hard, knows what they're doing, and is really smart and understands who other people are, you will always get your reward. Meaning, even if that project doesn't go the best, people will know how you work and operate, and you'll get an opportunity to show exactly how well you can do on a better team. You don't have to worry about that. It's kind of like karma.
Karma. Okay.
Yes. It's just a natural law in life. See, a lot of times when we go through things and then other people make us look bad, we think, oh, our whole career is ruined, or oh, my grade is ruined, whatever it might be. But if you're always learning from it, if you're always improving from those experiences, I've never seen someone who's always improving, always working hard, always growing. I've never seen it where they fail in life, where they don't get an opportunity to do something great.
Okay.
So life holds people accountable. Just remember that.
Got it. And so we don't have to be the judge, jury, and executioner.
Nope. You just have to love and accept people for who they are.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So,
And you know, the last part of your question is, well, how do you make sure you're not taken advantage of? You are never taken advantage of. It's something in the mind. Sometimes in the mind we think someone took advantage of me, or someone cheated me, or someone took too much from me, right? But actually that's just in our mind. We don't understand what's going on.
Hmm.
In our mind, we might have done some things that we shouldn't have. And that's other people weren't taking advantage of us. Actually, we were just causing ourselves more work and effort, and we didn't really get a good return for it.
Hmm.
So for this podcast, I have some tips on how to make sure as you love, accept people, as you allow life to take accountability for people instead of yourself, what you can do to make sure and to understand how you're not being taken advantage from, and to know when to do things and when not to do things for the best reward. Okay. First, you have to learn natural laws of people.
All right.
You have to understand people, right? And so you have to learn about it. You have to, whether this is through interacting more with people, talking to someone who knows a lot about these natural laws of people, maybe even observing it and going through the experience yourself. Either way, you have to learn about it. 2, you have to work with more people that you love. That's why I always tell people, first start working with family and doing things with people, friends and whatnot. As you do things with them and as you start to see, the interaction and what you should do for them and what you shouldn't do for them, it will teach you quickly that way. 3,
how to interact with other people.
How to interact with people you personally love. See,
Okay,
because
so
a lot of times a stranger, you're never going to be taking advantage of a stranger, because whenever you even think the slightest chance that you're going to be cheated, you're going to tell the stranger, no, I'm not going to do that. But with people that you have a personal connection with, they might ask you to do something, and even though you don't want to do it, you might say yes. And it might not be the best thing for either of you, because then you feel bad, then you don't like them anymore, then they don't get as much benefit out of you because you don't like them anymore, you don't do anything with them anymore, all sorts of stuff, right? So the more you do things with people that you love and you learn how that operates, you learn when to say yes, when to say no, when it's of best interest for both of you to work together, the more you learn.
okay.
And third, whenever anybody asks you to do something, always ask yourself, what's in it for me? Right? When you can find out what's in it for you, and they have something in it for them, the person you're doing it for, that's a win-win. That tells you it's the right thing to do. But if one person wins and you can't find out how you're going to win, you lose, you can't find a benefit for you, then that's a clear sign that that's not the best thing for you to be doing. Because in the long run, it doesn't help the other person and it doesn't help you.
Okay, so like helping someone out with their chores, or doing community service, stuff like that. If one party doesn't see how that benefits the whole group or them personally, then they shouldn't do it, is what you're saying.
Definitely. So like a lot of times you see with children, their parents will make them go do community service, right? And they end up going learning nothing. It's a lose-lose. The child loses because they have a bad attitude, they don't learn anything from it, and it wasted their time. The community loses because they had someone there who wasted their time there, took resources away from everyone else, caused everything to go slower, and nothing got done from them. Right? So in order for it really to win for everybody, yes, it needs to be such that if you're helping someone or doing community service, you have to feel the benefit of that. You have to learn about that.
Got it.
Or know what you're learning from it and benefiting from it.
Okay. So it brings in the spirit like, I choose to do this, I want to do this, and that's why I'm doing it.
You got it.
Okay.
And the last, talk to a mentor.
Sheesh, Jacob. So if I found this mentor and I'm asking, so at this point I'm asking, how do I not get taken advantage of? And they tell me like something different than what you've said, then what do I do? I'm conflicted at that point, right?
No, if anybody ever contradicts me and they're your mentor, you go with what they say.
Okay.
Always.
Because likely the mentor is at their level.
Yes. And that means the mentor is always right. Because if your mentor isn't always right and I'm more right, then I probably should be your mentor.
Okay. All right. Well, very good. And how do people reach out to you to become their mentor, Dr. Jacob?
All you got to do is watch the podcast.
Watch the podcast.
No, or email me. You can always email me or email the Leadership Society of Arizona, and yeah, we can take care of you.
Okay. So that email is team@leadaz.org in case anyone is interested in getting Dr. Jacob as a mentor. All right. Well, I appreciate your time, Dr. Thank you for answering that question. I guess I never really thought that that there was a possibility that there was never an opportunity that you could get taken advantage of in life, I guess.
Yes.
I wasn't thinking that was a possibility. And then also I was thinking, well, I've got to be the one that's got to execute the punishment, the consequence. And so now I guess I got to just let that go. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for your answers. And listeners, I hope you enjoyed listening. And viewers, I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you and have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Logic and Life Coaching Podcast. It would be great if you could take a moment to write us a review. For any questions, comments, or topics that you would like to have addressed on the show, email the team at team@leadaz.org. To learn more about the Leadership Society of Arizona, visit us at leadaz.org.